Yesterday at 5 o'clock, and we carried some of it on the John and Ken show, Tony Villar did his second to last, that sounds good, State of the City speech. And a lot of the pundits were saying, all right, well, now he's only got a year or so left. He's really got to tackle this budget deficit problem. $222 million. It's there year after year. He's finally got to get down to it and do something. No. Most of the speech was about damn mass transit.
He ignored it. You know what's he's so transparent, and his staff is such a bunch of weenies. They know he's a loser, and he knows he's a loser. We told you yesterday he botched the budget years ago when he promised huge pay increases to all the union goons.
5% a year for 5 years.
Guaranteed.
That was in 2007.
Right at the start of the recession. So he really screwed up. Now he bankrupted the city.
But he had to pay them back. They supported him for mayor. That's how it works.
We have massive budget deficits. The roads are in unbelievable, horrific shape. You know, the fire department's only showing up on time 59% of the time. And everybody's bankrupt. There's a pension tsunami that's going to wipe the city out, and now we're down to about 2 years from now.
What does he want to do? He wants to spend more money. Yeah, all he talked about. I mean, most of the speech, and even, the political writers, who, while they don't support Villar, they at least try to remain, even-handed about him, are all like scratching their head. He spent most of the speech. It says he devoted only 5 paragraphs in a 7-page speech to his proposed budget, which is supposed to be released tomorrow.
Which is the only thing that matters right now.
And remember that speech he made to a bunch of investors a few weeks ago where he mentioned layoffs? Not yesterday, not in the State of the City speech, and not with protesters outside. By the way, some of the city workers were outside protesting, and what they had, even though we don't like their position on spending our tax money, they did have something funny. They handed out postcards attacking Tony Villar for spending too much time traveling. And it was actually, the postcards were greetings from Los Angeles, mocking the fact that the mayor is always in Washington or somewhere else because, well, he's the president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and he's going to chair the Democratic National Convention this summer.
He is deliberately trying to avoid the failure that he's created. And so he opened yesterday, and this is how you manipulate the media, or how you try to if you're a professional. You open up by saying, first of all, we're looking forward, not backward. Translation is, I'm going to talk about all these exotic transit projects that no one cares about, and I'm not going to talk about bankrupting the city over the last 5 years.
The elephant in the room.
Right. So he intentionally spends nearly his entire speech going through a laundry list of transit fantasies, nearly all of which will never happen.
Including extending that horrible sales tax increase from 2008 into eternity. That's what he wants to do. He wants to get a ballot measure on November where he hopefully will get 2/3 of the L.A. County voters to say, yeah, keep that 1% increase for the rest of creation.
And mass transit is one of the most overhyped concepts in our life. It is used by very few people. It doesn't relieve traffic. It costs many billions of dollars, and it's a sinkhole. None of them are profitable. No mass transit in Los Angeles is profitable. It is subsidized.
And the reasons are actually very simple. A, not convenient. B, you have to be in close quarters with other people. Ew.
So it's just a system to transport the poor. In fact, I was reading a piece today that was written 5 years ago, which I will print out in the next commercial break.
Oh, that's the one you're trying to find?
Yeah, and the LA Times writer said, an LA Times writer who admits to being emotionally biased towards mass transit. He just likes the concept. But he goes, the truth is, it's a way to transport poor people until they can afford a car. Because that's what it is. And so when you hear about all these pie-in-the-sky fantasy transit ideas, it's just another delivery system for poor people who can't afford a car. And there's really got to be a limit on that, considering that 99% of Los Angeles doesn't use the mass transit system. We need the freeways and the boulevards to run smoothly. And I would think that 99% of the money should go for that, should go for the construction and maintenance and operation of our roadway system, because that's what we use.
If you want to build an economy around workers who contribute tax money to the base, you are right. You need to give them a place and roads where they can get to where they need to go to bring you that money.
Because you know what? We've been scammed enough. We were scammed when they promised the transit line to the airport, and it fell a mile short. we were scammed with this high-speed rail, you can see what a huge brown doggle that's become.
And Villar's subway to the sea is going to stop at the Federal Building in Westwood.
That's another thing. I'm trying to dig up all the stories about the subway to the sea.
That was the name for it early on.
Which people, that was the name for it.
Now they're just calling it the West Side Subway.
Yeah, when the referendum was proposed, when it was voted on, it was subway to the sea, and people thought that was cool. That you can get on a transit train, you can get on a subway or a light rail, and you end up at the ocean.
Santa Monica.
Yeah, Santa Monica.
Venice, I don't know.
And then shortly after the tax passed, this 30-year sales tax, they said, it's only going to stop in Westwood. Now, they knew that beforehand. They intentionally lied. And if they lied about the airport, and they lied about the subway to the sea, and they lied about the high-speed rail, then that's it. You don't get any more chances to fool us with transit systems that 99% of the public will not use. And this has to be an ironclad rule that you say no to everything. No more borrowing for mass transit. No more tax increases for mass transit. No more approvals for this stuff. It is a colossal scam and a lie, and they've got you too many times. You're not going to use it. You're not going to use it. Your friends, your neighbors, your relatives are not going to use it. None of us are going to use it. LA's not built that way.
Do you see the parallels here? Arnold Schwarzenegger, huge budget deficits, couldn't deal with it, didn't want to deal with it anymore, embraces the Global Warming Final Solutions Act. Tony Villar, budget deficits, doesn't want to deal with it, doesn't like detail, isn't interested, is embracing this long-term mass transit thing where he believes that will be his legacy.
Yeah,
that's what the speech was.
They go for this crazy, visionary legacy. And they start talking about nonsense. Worse.
Well, eventually their aides say, what do you want to be remembered for? Solving the deficit? No, I want my name on something. I don't know, a subway line.
And he can't solve the deficit. We're too far gone. There's nothing he can do. He's going to go down as the mayor that bankrupted Los Angeles. To the Los Angeles Times' credit, at least in this online story, they went with the right headline. Villaraigosa avoids talk of layoffs in State of the City address. Not Villaraigosa's grand vision for the future. That's what I figured we'd get. No, somebody had their head screwed on straight at the Times and said, you know what? He avoided the reality that he's bankrupted the city.
All right, when we come back, we'll talk more about this. 1-800-520-1534.
John and Ken Show, KFI, AM 640, more stimulating talk radio.
We eat idiots.